Hi, Source Beings. Today we're going to do a little meditation practice. I wouldn't even really call it a meditation practice. I think it's ultimately probably one of the best techniques, or I wouldn't even call it a technique. I'd say it's how to connect to the divine, like for real. I think step one, you should honestly watch a video about the universe. It's called a macro zoom and a micro zoom of like how small things can get, and also like when they zoom out of the universe, how big things can get. So it's like they zoom in a lot to like the quantum scale, and then they zoom out with like, you know, the very big, the relativity stuff. So it's quite interesting. Just find a video, or I'll find one for you guys and I'll put it in the description below. But watch that video first. Then afterwards, just try to get in a place where you can be either in quiet, or just where you have time to hear your own thoughts in a way, or just where you have a little bit of privacy. If not, that's okay too. You can still do this anywhere, basically. The more you practice it, the better it is. So like basically what you're doing is, I would say prayer is like your mind, your ego talking to your heart, and meditation is when you're listening to your heart speak to your mind, right? So you'll notice a lot of people. Have you ever talked with somebody and they just don't shut up? It's like, how can you listen and understand what you're saying or what they're saying if you're talking the entire time? Like, have you ever listened to somebody talk and your mind is just running the whole time because you're thinking about what you're going to do later, or what you're going to eat later that day, and you're like, wait, I completely misunderstood like, I didn't understand a word they just said, or just, like, come on, like, it's kind of funny, right? Like, you can pretend to hear, or you can hear without listening, and you can listen without understanding. So I'm gonna flip it over and actually do a paper teaching after this. But basically, it's gonna be from going from hearing your thoughts to listening to your beliefs, and then to understanding the truth. Or actually, I don't know if I want to make this a paper teaching too, or if I want to add that. Okay. Yeah, I will actually, because I'm going to need to. Okay. Alright, I'm going to draw out what I'm talking about here. Okay, there's your head, okay? We'll just say this is your brain. And then we'll say this is your body, or your arms, there's your legs. Okay, then you got your big old heart right here. And then we're just going to say that for some reason, okay, you have a good side and a bad side. We'll just call this duality, okay? Okay. So praying is when your mind is speaking, or well, actually it should be going straight down, because it's a vertical, it goes down your spine, right? We'll just say it goes straight down. So it's when your mind is speaking to you, we'll just say your mind is speaking to your spirit, which is the Spirit of God, or source, love, grace. We'll just say grace and truth. Okay? Mind, we'll just say ego. Okay. So prayers, like, you know, people like, they talk to God, and they're okay, God's listening right here, right? Now, if you want to hear back from God, what you have to do is you have to quiet your mind. So quiet. This is what they call meditation. So quiet mind and listen to heart or spirit. Okay, so instead of our mind or ego talking to our spirit, and our spirit's listening, what we need to do is we need to have our spirit, we need to quiet our mind so our spirit can go up into our mind and talk to our mind. So that's how we can hear God. So I would say praying is like our mind talking to our spirit, and meditation is our spirit talking to our mind. And I think why we need to meditate more is so we can grow our heart to make it bigger and shrink our mind or our ego, because ultimately when we operate out of here, I'll show you guys another paper after this too. This comes from a place of oneness, and your mind operates out of a place of separation or illusion, right? And when I say grace and truth, I mean grace as in like unconditional love, and truth as in truth. I can't really tell you the truth. Only your heart can. Like you have to radically accept whatever you believe is the truth, so you can transform it or change it. But only your heart can tell you. Like let's say you're suffering with like a negative thought or something, right? We'll just say the negative thought is, I'm just going to use the pineapple as an example. We'll just say you don't like pineapples, and you're like, why do I keep seeing pineapples in my life? I hate pineapples. And then what you do is, like, you're praying because your spirit is listening to your mind. But then you quiet your mind, and then you hear your spirit, and it's not necessarily like in words all the time. It's going to be in emotions, or it's going to be in the inner peace, or it's going to be just a feeling of love. It's hard to explain. It starts with emotions, but then once you accept your emotions, you find inner peace. So how do I explain it? So when your spirit's talking, it's not necessarily going to talk to you in words. It's going to talk to you in truth. So like, let's say I'm like, oh, I believe the earth is flat, okay? I don't really believe that, but let's say I really, really wanted to choose to believe that. Now, people were telling me the world is round, and my heart's like, yo, I think the world's actually round. And then I could be like, okay, well, I'll accept that as true, because my heart is telling me that that's true. But then then I pray, I'm like, okay, well, can this change? And as a matter of fact, maybe someday it will. Once we can create simulations and stuff, we can actually create a flat world if we really wanted to. There's a way. So like, let's say you have a hard time accepting the truth, which is a problem. Just accept the truth so you can solve that problem and come up with a solution. It's that simple. So the Spirit of God will always tell you the truth, and you need to seek truth, and you will find comfort. If you seek comfort, you will not find truth or comfort. Okay? So seek truth and you will find comfort. But if you seek comfort, you'll find neither truth nor comfort. Okay? And then grace, anything that's not of love, that comes from your heart, it's not really coming from your heart. You'll like I would say it's like your inner child, the grace like of the inner child. It speaks to you in love, in the language of love, and only you can understand it. Nobody else can. It's like talking in tongues. People will channel light language, or like Christians call talking in tongues. Other people say it's talking in light language, but in reality, you're basically you're speaking and you're understanding from the heart, or you're listening to your heart rather than your heart listening to your mind. I'm going to go ahead and attach another paper to this so I can show you more. So remember, be in alignment with your cognitions that are in your heart and not your mind, okay? And then this way, you'll basically raise the energy from your heart into your third eye, and this is called right ego, or right identity. Ego can be a good thing, but only if it's the right ego. Because there's a lot of false egos. Alright, so here's the next paper teaching. It has to do with the same thing. So, does your brain obey your heart, or does your heart obey your brain? And I said the choice is yours, discernment. And you can usually tell also how other people are living. So, on the heart side, we have grace, which leads to truth, which leads to supply, which leads to freedom, which leads to miracles, which leads to oneness, which leads to Christ consciousness or Krishna consciousness, whatever you call it, and that's your heart. On the other side of this is your brain side, or your ego, your mind. You have shame, lies, demand, control, illusion, separation, antichrist, brain. And I'm not saying that this side's completely bad. It's just you should want, in my opinion, it's best to let this side be the bigger side, and then this side be the smaller side. I don't know how to explain it other than that. So yeah, it's because it's like, do you want to be a slave or do you want to be free? You know what I mean? Like, is your brain a tool, or does your brain use you as a tool? And each of our organs are unique. Just because we have a brain doesn't mean it's the only thing that's conscious. I like to say that, or I like to assume, or actually know, that our heart has an independent intelligence of its own, which is genius, a lot more genius than our mind can ever be, because it has cosmic DNA in it that we don't even actually know the whole picture of what's actually inside of our DNA at a quantum level, if you really think about it. Or, well, like, if you go all the way down into it. I'm not going to try to play so much with the words here. I'm just going to let you guys try to understand this right here. Okay, there you go.